On the eve of the wedding, my name was crossed out on the engraved invitation and replaced with the childhood sweetheart of my fiancé. He slipped Clark's arm around me and chuckled. Don't be angry, if my family's company weren't waiting for Clark infusion from your father, the woman I'd be marrying tomorrow would be her. Calmly, I dialed a number. Dad, pull the funding. And while you're at it, tell Lee next door that his son can come fetch me in the morning. Jason's smile froze in place. Before we continue, please subscribe and tell us where you're listening. 01. The night the smile cracked in the imperial penthouse of the Grand, light from the crystal chandelier poured down like ice water, illuminating the chaos strewn across the floor. Scarlet invitation cards had been ripped to pieces and scattered across the expensive Persian rug, a snowfall of blood that would never melt. The only one still intact lay at Jason's feet. Across my name, Serena, a thick black marker had slashed a brutal line. Beside it, in a boastfully looping hand, was written another, Bianca. Jason, the man who was supposed to be my groom tomorrow, had that woman curled against his chest. He lowered his head and coaxed her with a gentleness I had never seen. There, Bibi, stop crying. It's only a card. For you, I'd swap the entire wedding, why not? Bianca sobbed against him, shoulders shaking, though not a single tear fell. Through the curtain of Jason's arm, she lifted mist-filled eyes to me, her voice a perfect blend of grievance and apology. Big sis Serena, I'm sorry. I just couldn't bear seeing a card without my name. I love Jason so much. I'm not angry, I said, voice flat as still water. I only looked at Jason. The man I had been prepared to entrust my life to was gazing at another woman with eyes that had once bowed the world to me. He even spared me a sidelong glance, a patronizing curve to his lips, as if tossing me a scrap of comfort. Serena, don't be mad, Bibi's just bein'. Child. The arm around her tightened, his tone airy, yet the words were a poisoned dagger aimed square at the softest part of my heart. If our company weren't desperate for liquidity right now, waiting for your father's investment to save us, the woman I'd marry would be her. One sentence pronounced judgment on the love I thought I possessed, death without appeal. I wore thick, oversized fake glasses, not a hint of makeup, Clark old set of loungewear washed colorless. I looked like the harmless girl next door, plain, dull, utterly unthreatening. It was a disguise I had kept for 3 years. I thought that if I stripped away the aura of the Vance dynasty and faced the world in the plainest shell, I might harvest feelings purified of ulterior motive. Tonight was the moment the answer to that 3-year test was revealed. The score, failure. I nodded to show I understood. Then, under their stunned stares, I picked up my phone. I dialed, calm as ever, and tapped the speaker button. The call connected at once, and my father's steady voice came through. Cece, still awake at this hour? Dad, I said without a ripple, pull the Shen investment. A single beat of silence, then the answer I knew would come, no questions asked. Done. I continued, while you're at it, inform Uncle Lee next door that his son can come claim me tomorrow. Understood. A faint smile had crept into Dad's tone. I'll arrange it now. I ended the call and set the phone on the gleaming coffee table. It landed with a crisp click. The air in the entire suite seemed to solidify. The triumphant, disdainful, comforting smile on Jason's face cracked, shard by shard, until only a sheet of white remained. Bianca, still in his arms, forgot her act, lips slightly parted in delayed comprehension. Serena, what did you say? Jason's voice was hoarse, as though he doubted his own ears. He released Bianca and strode toward me. The blank mask was quickly overwritten by anger and contempt. Are you'd one throwing your tantrum? Jokes like that aren't funny. He thought I was sulking, babbling nonsense. He looked down on me from his height, ready to deploy the gaslighting script he had always used. Serena, I know you feel wronged, but consider the bigger picture. Our marriage isn't a children's game, hundreds of jobs ride on it. Do you even care? I didn't answer. I simply watched him, as one watches a clown blunder across a stage. The contempt in his eyes was the same contempt he had shown every time he looked at me in the past 3 years. He had never respected me. From the start I had been nothing but Clark ATM, docile and easy to manage. Bianca recovered as well, covering her mouth while her eyes reddened. This time genuine tears seemed to form. Big sis Serena, don't blame Jason. It's all my fault. I just love him too much. When I saw the invitation wasn't in my name, I lost control. I didn't mean to, she turned as if to flee. I'll go, right now. Just don't let me wreck the partnership between our families. Jason hauled her back, shielding her in his arms, and snapped at me. Bibi, this has nothing to do with you, she's the one being unreasonable. He swung to me, voice hard with command. Serena, I'll give you one last chance. Show up tomorrow and finish the wedding, and tonight never happened. At that instant, my phone on the table lit up again, Dad's number. I answered, speaker on once more. Cece, my father's authoritative, unruffled voice filled the room. The funds were yanked from the escrow 5 minutes ago. Shen will not receive a single dollar. And I've spoken with your Uncle Lee. Adrian is delighted and already on his way. He'll be here first thing. Have a good sleep and wake up a beautiful bride. Bang, it was the sound of something detonating inside Jason's skull. All color drained from his face until it was paper white. He lunged, snatching my phone, and screamed into it. Chairman Vance. You can't do this. Contracts have been signed. Ed. How can the Vance clan renege? A cold laugh came through the speaker, absolute authority laced with mockery. What contract? CEO Shen, a cooperation letter without capital injection is just waste paper. Don't tell me you don't know that? My daughter, precious jewel I raised in the palm of my hand, will never be trampled by the likes of you. If she doesn't want to marry, not even the gods can force her. The line went dead with a crisp click. I slipped the phone from Jason's frozen fingers, wiped the screen unhurriedly, and tucked it into my bag. My hand never trembled. Bianca was still reciting her lines. Big sis Serena, don't ruin their partnership because of me. I'll leave this instant. Just be happy with Jason. I finally lifted my eyelids and regarded her indifferently, so coldly that the rest of her sentence jammed in her throat. Whether you leave or stay has nothing to do with me. I paused, gaze falling to the defaced invitation on the carpet, the corners of my mouth lifting in the faintest arc. Oh, take that invitation you vandalized. Have it framed as a keepsake. A souvenir of how, with your own hand, you destroyed the life-saving fortune of the man you loved. 02. The arrival of the groom. My words had barely landed when the door of the suite was flung open from outside. Jason's parents, Marcus and Victoria, stormed in on a gust of anxious fury. Evidently Shen's CFO had delivered the catastrophe at lightning speed. Serena, you jinx. What do you think you're doing? Victoria shrieked the instant she saw me, her well-maintained face contorted, a stranger to the kindly future mother-in-law she had always played. She jabbed a lacquered fingernail at me, spit flying. Our Jason condescending to marry you is the greatest luck of your miserable 8 lifetimes. And you dare make trouble? Won't you be satisfied only when you see our family ruined? Marcus's complexion was livid. He stared at me, voice low and threatening. Remember, Sarah. Ain't it was the Vance family that proposed this alliance, coveting our channels and emerging industries. Now you back out at the 11th hour. Do you care at all that you'll disgrace both houses? Can you shoulder that? In perfect chorus they laid every blame at my feet, saying nothing of their son's behavior a moment earlier. Jason finally surfaced from the shock. He seized his frenzied mother, swiveled to me, and the arrogance and disdain vanished, replaced by careful, synthetic warmth. Babe, I was wrong, I was a bastard talking out of anger. He reached for my hand, I sidestepped. Awkwardly, he withdrew and softened even more. Honey, don't be mad, okay? Look, Mom and Dad are here. The wedding is too important to treat as a game. My wedding will not be treated as a game. I cut him off coldly. Just then, another knock sounded, polite, measured. The Grand's Director of Guest Relations personally pushed open the door and bowed to me. Behind him stood a tall man. He wore a flawlessly cut Brioni suit in deep anthracite. The absence of a tie and 2 undone shirt buttons revealed a sculpted neckline, adding a careless edge. Under the lights, his chiseled face was almost too handsome to look at directly. Peach blossom eyes held a calm smile aimed squarely at me. Adrian. My real childhood friend, the Lee family's son, the undisputed titan of emerging tech. Behind him filed a squad of black uniformed men and women with earpieces and iPads, Clark Elite Task Force. Ignoring the bristling tension and the Shen family frozen in place, Adrian strode across the room. In front of everyone, he reached out and, with a fingertip, brushed a stray strand of hair from my temple, natural, intimate, as if we had done this 10,000 times before. Sorry to keep you waiting. His voice was low, melodious, laced with the power to soothe. Traffic was brutal. Jason's eyes were glued to Adrian. His face cycled from white to cyan to purple, like Clark overturned painter's palette. Of course he recognized Adrian. The rival who had driven him back at every turn in the marketplace, the man whose success gnawed at him until he tasted bile, the one he could hate yet never beat. Adrian? What are you doing here? Jason's shriek nearly cracked. Adrian turned only then, as if noticing him for the first time, and offered a smile that was polite, distant, and colder than zero. Shen, he greeted. I'm here to collect my bride. The second the words left his lips, the special ops squad behind him moved. In perfect formation they entered the suite, stripping every item stamped with Jason Serena. One carried fresh nameplates, another a brand new run sheet, yet another a just printed album of Adrian and me, photos taken years ago at a business forum abroad, the Seine glittering behind us. Their speed was obscene. In less than 60 seconds every trace of Jason had been erased from what had once been Jason and Serena's pre-wedding suite. Victoria finally snapped out of her daze and let out a shriek sharp enough to cut glass. What do you think you're doing? This is my son's wedding. Who gave you the right? Security. Security. The hotel's guest relations director stepped forward, bowing slightly, professional smile glazed with frost. My apologies, Shen. Vance and Lee have purchased exclusive rights to every facility and service of the Grand for the next 72 hours. In other words, from this moment the premises are the private domain of Lee and Vance. Our guards will escort all unrelated persons off the property. The 4 words unrelated persons landed like 4 ringing slaps across the Shen family's collective face. Victoria's scream strangled in her throat, Marcus trembled with rage, and Jason simply stared, first at me, then at Adrian, who stood beside me as if we'd been carved from one block, disbelief flooding his eyes. 03. A wedding becomes a battlefield. 2 tall guards stepped in and made a courteous after you gesture. Tioch. Courtesy was skin deep, their eyes brooked no argument. Shen, this way, please. I'm not leaving. This is my wedding. Jason lunged like a madman, trying to shove past the guards and reach me. Serena, you be ********************** H. You dumped me just to climb higher. He fought, eyes bloodshot, roaring my name and every filth-laden insult he could summon, a cornered beast snarling its last. Victoria collapsed to the carpet, howling and drumming her heels. Where's justice? What curse did the Shen family bring on itself to marry such a viper? A broken engagement, she's driving us to our deaths. Bianca stuck to her tragic actress script, tears dribbling as she propped Jason up for the widening circle of guests and staff. It's all my fault, all my fault. Sister Serena must hate Aue because of me. She still loves him, jealousy just clouded her mind. Her performance nudged the onlooker's sympathy the way she wanted. Whispers flared, eyes narrowing at me in contempt. So the bride had a last-second change of heart. Look at the new guy, way more impressive than Shen. No wonder. Vance is fickle, ditching the groom overnight, how shameless. Poor Shen, cuckolded in public. The gossip, Jason's animal howls, Victoria's wails tangled into a grotesque symphony. I stood at the epicenter, untouched. Calmly I tucked my hand through Adrian's arm, solid, steady, warm, and together we walked toward our own hall, sealing the farce behind us. All right? Adrian murmured. I tilted my head and gave him the first genuine smile of the night, thin though it was. I just took out the trash, couldn't be better. His tenderness veiled as he answered, good. Inside, the Grenade beamer modeled at lightning speed. Across the LED wall scrolled photos of Adrian and me from childhood, me in pigtails on his back, later side by side on global conference stages. Every logo, every place card now read Lee Vance. Guests stared, stunned, curious, starved for gossip. The instant the wedding march was about to sound, my phone buzzed. A push notification blared in vicious bold, scandal of the century, Vance ditches bankrupt fiancé for richer upgrade. The collage was venomous, Adrian and me, a matched pair viewed from behind, Jason pinned between 2 guards, face contorted. I flicked the screen away. Comments already topped 10,000. Disgusting, she ditched Shen the second they wobbled. My heart breaks for Jason, betrayed by fiancé and best friend. Bianca's the real victim, childhood love ousted by career homewrecker. Boycott Vance, zero integrity. The PR war had opened, ferocious and coordinated. Adrian felt it too, cold fury flickered across his eyes. Shall I shut it down now? He asked, meaning his crisis team. I shook my head and killed the screen. Let it ride. The higher they jump, the harder they'll fall. The march swelled. On Richard's arm I moved down the aisle toward Adrian. Among stares either blessing or suspicious, we exchanged rings, promised forever. I knew, this was not just a wedding. It was a declaration of war. From today Serena stops pretending. 04. The storm and the Shen's death throws the ceremony ended in Clark atmosphere as thin as cracked ice. By dawn our story had infected the entire internet. I awoke branded, gold digging, heartless, easy. A flood of paid trolls ensured the labels trended nationwide. Shen stock, deprived of Vance funds, opened limit down. Jason seized the moment, giving Clark exclusive video interview. In a creased shirt, eyes bruised, hair uncombed, he looked wrecked. I don't blame Serena, truly I don't, he rasped at the camera, voice shredded. She deserves the best. I failed, I couldn't protect our home, our love. I only want her happy. Whoever she chooses, if she's happy, I'm content. He buried his face, shoulders shaking as if grief might split him apart. Oscar-level acting. Comments exploded below. Crying, Jason loves her so much. That which doesn't deserve him. Stay st. Wrong, Shen. Rise again and make the gold digger regret it. Not satisfied, he stared into the lens and declared, Cece, I know you're confused, that Adrian misled you. It's okay, I'll wait. Whenever you turn around, I'll be here. With that he crowned himself martyr and hammered me onto the pillory. Meanwhile Richard's phone rang off the hook. Old friends offered sympathy laced with pressure. Richard, kids shouldn't wreck decades of partnership. Shen's hurting but solvent, think of the bigger picture. Call your daughter off. One tantrum could ruin both clans. Word is she's with Adrian? Watch out, the boy's ruthless. Sweet little Serena might be his pawn. Every sentence Clark iron wrapped in velvet. Right now I sit with Adrian on a sun-drenched terrace at his riverside estate, afternoon tea set on white linen. He lifts a scone onto my plate, pours black tea, then flicks his tablet to Jason's tear-soaked interview. He missed his calling, should collect Oscars. His gaze lifts, analytical, fearless. Next come the bots, smear Vance credibility, scream breach of faith, pressure your father through shareholders. I set the bone china cup down with a soft clink. I remove the oversized fake glasses I wore for 3 years, barely a prescription, their real job to blunt the edge in my eyes, make me docile. With them gone the world sharpens, and so do I. I rubbed the bridge of my nose, sore from the weight of the fake frames. He thought my father was my weak spot. I gazed at the distant green mountains, my voice cool and perfectly clear. What he doesn't know is that I'm the one who actually calls the shots at Vance. The moment the words left my lips I dialed my chief of staff. Anna. Right here, Vance. Her answer was crisp, respectful. Activate Operation Storm. Yes, ma'am. Excitement flashed through her tone. Step 1. Instruct our overseas trading desk to deploy every dollar of standby capital, regardless of cost, and scoop up every stray share of Shen before the opening bell tomorrow. I want absolute control. Step 2. Hit up every financial outlet we have on retainer. In 30 minutes I want my photo on every front page, above the fold, together with Clark official statement that I'm CEO of Vance Investments, plus a full dossier of every cross-border acquisition I've led in the last 5 years. Understood. I was about to hang up when Adrian, lounging opposite me, lifted a brow and mouthed 2 extra words. I caught his drift and added, while you're at it, tack on the news that Vance Investments and Adrian's Lee Tech have entered a $10 billion long-term strategic alliance. Adrian raised his coffee in salute, eyes glittering with the pleasure of meeting Clark equal. I ended the call, leaned back into the velvet sofa, and stared at the endless blue beyond the window. The game, I told him, just began. Jason thinks he's playing 4-dimensional chess from the penthouse. He has no idea I'm already in the stratosphere, looking down at every amateur move. 05. The real identity breaks the internet. Half Clark hour later the internet convulsed like it had been hit by Clark 8.0 earthquake. Vance's official site, its Weibo account, and the country's 10 largest financial outlets pushed the same flash alert at the exact same minute. Vance Group announcement. Serena assumes office as Group CEO, effective immediately. Beneath the headline sat a 10-page PDF. It catalogued my last 5 years in bulletproof detail. Age 22, graduated first in my class from Wharton, masterminded the $10 billion acquisition of Europe's largest green energy conglomerate, kicking open Vance's gateway to foreign markets. Age 23, founded Vance Investment Division and took the helm as CEO, making pinpoint bets on a dozen startups now valued as unicorns, racking up a 2,000% return. Age 24, last year, flew to Wall Street solo and, in 3 months, engineered a chain of leg and lethal trades that crippled a predatory fund trying a hostile takeover of a Vance subsidiary. One battle, legendary status. Each line glittered hard enough to blind any so-called elite. The photo that accompanied the release detonated a second shockwave. I wore a knife-edge Armani suit, jet black, my hair was twisted into a severe knot, my makeup was battle-sharp. Gone were the oversized fake glasses. My eyes were glacier cold, autopsy clear. I sat before a floor-to-ceiling window with the midnight city glittering at my back, every inch the woman who owned the skyline. Netizens compared the shot to the earlier viral picture of a timid girl in dowdy frames and plain skin, two strangers split by a single pair of lenses. If the first post was a depth charge, the second was a nuclear warhead. LeTech's official account proclaimed, LeTech is honored to announce a $10 billion long-term strategic alliance with Vance. We look forward to exploring the new frontier of AI and biotech hand-in-hand with incoming CEO Serena. At Vance Group at Serena_Vance, the tweet carried a photo of Adrian and me shoulder to shoulder in a high-tech lab, arguing over a holographic molecule. The look between us, perfect parody, sent Weibo servers to their knees. Hashtags shot up the trending chart like cruise missiles. Hashtag Eris turned investment queen. Hashtag Serena Vance true identity. Hashtag groom not marrying up he was level. Hashtag Jason Shen clown me myself. Netizens who'd spent days screaming gold digger now deleted their posts in panic. Holy crap, she's not a daisy, she's a Venus flytrap. At 24 I was picking what takeout to order, she'd already slain Wall Street. Plot twist, Queen came home to beta test her fiancé, moron dumped her for a green tea wannabe, now the joke's on him. Jason's bankrupt toy company? Pocket change. She is the vault. Former haters officially eating crow. Inside Shen headquarters Jason hurled a brand new iMac to the floor, the screen fractured like frost. He stared at my photo, face blood red, body shaking, muttering, impossible, impossible. Only now did he realize he hadn't jilted a docile fiancé or forfeited a bailout. He'd hurled away the woman who could decide whether his world continued to spin. The phone on his desk rang nonstop, Bianca. For the first time he felt volcanic hatred for her name. He snatched the receiver and roared before she could sob a word, "This is your doing, Bianca. You idiot. You've ruined me, ruined us." Her wails cut off mid-breath. I, meanwhile, was wrapping up my first press conference as CEO. When a reporter fired a loaded question about the groom swap, I looked straight into the lens and said, calm as winter, Serena does not partner, business or marriage, with anyone who lacks contract ethics. 06. Pulling the floorboards out. Reversing the narrative was only the opening gambit. Jason refused to admit defeat, he couldn't afford to, Shen was his last crown. After his initial implosion he sprinted through Riverdale's money corridors, begging every fund, every family office, every mid-tier bank for a lifeline. He swallowed every shred of pride, smiled until his cheeks cramped, accepted snubs that would flay a thinner skin. A few groups, out of respect for Marcus, let him pitch. Each time, seconds before signatures dried, a phone would vibrate, the investor's face would blanch, and the deal would evaporate into polite regret. Sorry, Shen, liquidity issues. Board just vetoed, terrible timing. Let's revisit next quarter. He swung from rage to bewilderment to dread, a trapped animal hurling himself at steel mesh he couldn't see. He still hadn't grasped that every fund he approached carried cap table DNA from Vance or LeTech. I'd issued Clark unspoken embargo, whoever bankrolls Shen becomes my personal target. In this town no one will risk a shooting war with Serena and Adrian just to prop up a tottering dynasty. Once I'd vacuumed up 51% of Shen's float, largest single share holder, I had Anna hand-deliver Jason a friendly takeover offer, purchase price 1/10 of market cap, low enough to be spit in his face. Jason shredded the document the instant he read it, then rang my private line, screaming, Serena, this is murder, you're strangling me. I muted my overseas video conference, lifted the handset, and stared down at the traffic ants 30 floors below. Shen, calm down. Business is war, trickery is fair. The day you treated me as a pawn to bait my father's money, you accepted this outcome. I'm not strangling you, I added, lazy amusement curling my voice, I'm cleaning house. You, he sputtered, you viper. Thank you for the compliment. If that's all, I'm hanging up. I'm busy, I'm guessing, are not. Click. Minutes later Bianca appeared under Vance in a virginal white dress, mascara waterproofed for battle. The lobby security wouldn't even let her touch the revolving doors. She spotted my car exiting the garage, threw herself at the tinted glass, shrieking, Serena, get out here. I told the driver to stop and slid the window down Clark inch. She clawed the glass, face contorted by envy. You won. You're rich. So what? You'll never have Jason's love, he loves me. Even now she wielded that dime store fantasy like a plastic sword. I lifted my sunglasses and studied her warped reflection. His love? I echoed softly. That flimsy, shifting thing that needs charity to survive? Keep it, use it in good health. Don't dirty my pavement. With that, I rolled the window shut and told the driver, go. The car tore away, leaving Bianca rooted to the curb, her face cycling between green and white. The final, fatal blow came from Adrian. Tech lured Shen's life support Cortec team away with Clark's irresistible package, salaries they couldn't refuse, and a platform twice as large. That team had taken the Shen family nearly 10 years to cultivate. Strip the heart out, and Shen was nothing but Clark, empty, worthless. Shell. 07. The true face of the White Moon. The Shen family had reached absolute dead end. Jason still clung to one last straw, Bianca. He probably told himself that even if the empire was gone, he still had Bianca's true love, the kind that would share sweetness and bitterness. He blamed every one of his failures on my betrayal and my strangulation, while Bianca was the innocent angel who had stayed loyally by his side through it all. That self-delusion was both laughable and pitiful. It was time to shatter the last of his illusions. I had Anna deliver a file to Jason's private email through a bulletproof anonymous channel. Clark's encrypted zip awaited him. Inside lay the truth about his so-called White Moon. 6 years ago, a National College Industrial Design contest. Both Bianca and I had entered. With a forward-thinking concept for a smart home interaction system, I sailed through the preliminaries and into the finals. But the night before the final submission, the laptop holding every sketch and data set was stolen from the library. I was frantic. There wasn't time to rebuild a whole project. I had to withdraw. The winner that year was Bianca. Her prize-winning entry? My smart home interaction system. She'd tweaked it enough to make it less startling and more palatable to the era's tech level. Jason fell in love at first sight with Bianca when she spoke at the award ceremony. He was dazzled by the brilliance and spirit in her work, convinced he'd found his soulmate, his only kindred spirit. The packet I sent contained my original sketches, every backup file, even security footage from the library corridor. Grainy, yet clear enough to show Bianca slinking in and out of the reading room right before and after my laptop disappeared. The proof was cold, complete, impossible to refute. It revealed the fact: Bianca, the woman Jason had worshipped for 6 years, was a thief and a fraud. His so-called soul resonance, the spiritual chemistry he boasted of, as a con from start to finish. What he loved wasn't Bianca at all, it was the reflection he saw of me. I could picture him in that dim office, clicking open the file, watching the mountain of evidence crumble beneath him. Anna later told me he sat motionless for a full hour. Then, like a rabid animal, he bolted from the building, hunted Bianca down to the cafe where she was graciously nursing a cappuccino, waiting for his comfort. He flung the originals in her face. What is this? Explain, now. With ironclad proof in front of her, Bianca had nothing left. The mask she'd worn for years shattered. She sobbed, screamed, confessed everything. Jason, I was wrong. I just wanted to win so badly, wanted you to notice me. I love you. Everything I did was because I love you. Jason stared at her tear-streaked face and felt only disgust for the stranger in front of him. His last pillar collapsed just when he needed it most. The 6-year love story he guarded turned out to be a joke. He'd abandoned the real treasure for a cheap crook. With a nudge from my PR team, the media ran the story within hours. Bianca's theft of commercial intellectual property not only destroyed her reputation, it invited serious criminal charges. Prison awaited her. I watched the footage of police leading her away, her face ashen, and felt nothing. This wasn't revenge. It was a reckoning, the repayment of a long overdue debt. 08, the last shred of dignity. The sky had truly fallen on the Shen house. Shen filed for bankruptcy. Most of its crown jewel assets were snapped up at fire sale prices by Adrian's group and mine. Marcus couldn't survive the double shock. He suffered a cerebral hemorrhage and remains in the ICU. Victoria's hair turned white overnight. Between hospital vigils she howls curses at both Bianca and me. Courts auctioned Jason's mansions, his sports cars, every bauble. The once faded prince became a penniless stray. He came for me, exactly as I expected. That evening I stepped out of Vance headquarters after a 4-hour board meeting. Night had fallen, the city lights flickered on. I spotted him at once beneath the plane tree across the street, ill-fitting second-hand suit, crooked tie, hair plastered to his forehead, cheeks hollowed. He looked like a dog the whole world had kicked. How long had he waited, Clark? Hour? A day? I neither knew nor cared. I walked straight to my car. He dashed through traffic, almost clipped by a cab, lunged and caught my wrist. His hand was cold, calloused, clamped so tight it hurt. "Cece." His voice rasped like sandpaper. Bloodshot eyes clung to me, brimming with remorse and desperation. I was wrong, so wrong. Over and over, incoherent. I let Bianca blind me, said unspeakable things. I'm sorry. I tried to tug free, he only gripped harder. I don't ask you to forgive me, really I don't. Just give me one more chance. One. His tone cracked, a 6'3" man, tears falling like rain. I want nothing, Shen, the company, money, none of it. I just want you, Cece. Come back. I regarded him calmly, this face that had once made my heart flutter and later break. One by one I peeled his fingers away and freed my hand. Jason. The words were quiet and final. What you wanted was never me. It was what I could bring you. First, Clark infusion of Vance Capital. Now, a lifeline to climb back. No. That's not. He shook his head wildly. I love you. I see it now. It's always been you. I just didn't realize. He started to sink to his knees. I laughed, honest laughter, because the irony was hilarious. Is that so? But I no longer love you. I pronounced the brutal truth. The instant you wrapped Clark's arm around Bianca and sneered, if it weren't for the investment, she's the one I would have married, you died in my eyes. You're a stranger. A black Bentley glided to the curb. Adrian stepped out, took in the scene, frowned. He slipped off his cashmere coat and draped it over my chilled shoulders, the sill. And question in his eyes asked if I was all right. I gave a tiny shake of my head, I'm fine. Jason watched our unspoken intimacy, the coat that belonged to another man draped over me. The last spark in his eyes guttered out. Strength left his body, his legs buckled and he dropped to the cold marble pavement. Under the autumn wind and neon glare he wailed like a lost child, ugly, desolate. I never looked back. I settled into Adrian's car and we drove away. 09, a new beginning with the Shen chapter closed, my life returned to course, no, to a better orbit. Adrian and I carved up the Shen assets, reorganized them, and folded the choice pieces into our respective empires. Our partnership was seamless, as though we had fought side by side for decades. In truth, we had. All those years I masqueraded as the docile fiancé, while Jason laughed at my unrealistic ideas. Adrian and I were refining them in anonymous emails, market forecasts, tech trends, investment angles. He is my only true match in business. The first weekend after the storm, Adrian took me to his seaside villa. We walked the beach, watched sunset from the terrace, then dissected the Shen takeover, what we'd done right, what we'd missed. Without the noise, without the trash to dispose of, the air between us turned light, almost charged. That evening the sea breeze carried a chill. We sat on rattan chairs, surf whispering below, claret in hand, when Adrian reached into his briefcase and handed me a document. Puzzled, I opened it, and froze. On the cover, Lifetime. Party A, Serena. Party B, Adrian. The agreement had nothing to do with business, it concerned every single detail of the life we would share. Clause 1. Party B promises to treat Party A as the most important partner in his life, to respect every decision she makes, and to support every enterprise she undertakes without condition. Clause 2. All assets shall be placed under joint administration, yet Party A retains the right of final veto. CL. Clause 3. Party B shall shoulder more than 90% of all future household labor, including but not limited to cooking, cleaning, and keeping Party A in a good mood. Clause 4. This agreement shall remain valid for life. The clauses were meticulous, considerate, almost childish, yet between every line pulsed respect and tenderness. I lifted my eyes to Adrian. He was watching me with complete gravity, the peach blossom eyes that were usually laced with laughter now brimming with sincerity and a nervousness he tried to hide. Serena. His voice was deeper than usual. I've liked you for many years. Not because you are the heir to Vance, and not because you possess a formidable business mind. It's simply because you are you. The you who crouches on the sidewalk to feed stray cats, the you who fights for every last decimal point across a negotiation table, the you who tips her head back and laughs until she can't breathe at a single joke, every version of you, I like them all. There were no flowery phrases in his confession, yet it was more moving than any declaration of love I had ever heard. I don't want to bind you with marriage, or pile pressure on you. He pointed at the agreement in my hand and gave Clark embarrassed half-smile. But I hope to become the lifetime partner you choose first, whether in business or in life. Serena, will you give me that chance? I looked at the light in his eyes, light I had never once seen in Jason's. In them I found no calculation, no weighing of profit and loss, only pure, equal, yearning sincerity that begged only to stand beside me. I folded that absurd yet adorable cooperation agreement with care, then extended my hand to him. Pleasure doing business with you, Lee. He froze for half a second before a brilliant grin overtook his face. He seized my hand, held it tight, and pulled me into his arms. His embrace was warm and resolute. I leaned against his chest, listened to the strong beat of his heart, breathed the clean, crisp scent of him, and felt Clark's unaccustomed peace settle inside me. This time, I had chosen right. 10. Dust settles 1 year later. The commercial empire Adrian and I had built together already rivaled the giants. Our faces graced the covers of international finance magazines week after week. The press called us the business fairy tale of the new era. As the most legendary female CEO in a decade, I had become the idol countless young people chased and copied. My days were crowded, fulfilling, and soaked in happiness. Adrian honored every line of that agreement, pampering me so thoroughly that even Anna rolled her eyes. We were the most in-sync warriors on the battlefield of commerce and the closest lovers under the moon of ordinary life. Tonight I had to attend Clark's important charity gala. Adrian drove me himself. We stopped at a red light in the heart of downtown. The banquet was still Clark's hour away. I idly watched the neon wash over sidewalks thronged with evening crowds. A flicker of movement caught my eye. A chilly drizzle was falling. A man in a yellow delivery uniform halted beside us on Clark's electric scooter. He wore no rain gear, rain plastered his hair to his forehead and ran in rivulets down his jacket, utterly wretched. Perhaps sensing my gaze he looked up. Our eyes met. In that instant I knew him. Jason. He was thinner than a year ago, older, his face carved by wind and the dull surrender of a man whose edges had been planed away. He saw me through the glass, the custom couture that cost more than he now earned in a year, the diamond drops glittering at my ears, Adrian beside me gently straightening my shawl. He froze, shock and shame and pain and regret crashing across his features in quick succession. The takeout box in his hand slipped, slap, spilling soup and rice across the asphalt. He never noticed, he simply stared at the world he himself had shoved me out of. The light changed. Adrian eased the car for war. In the mirror Jason's yellow figure shrank to a blur, then vanished. I never looked back. Adrian reached over and closed his warm hand around my colder one. It's all behind you, he murmured. I nodded and rested my head against his shoulder. Yes. All behind me. 11. Bianca's ending proved no happier than Jason's. Convicted of commercial fraud and theft, she served 2 years. When she emerged she no longer carried the bloom of youth, her face wore the haggard stamp of time and bitterness. Far worse, her record carried Clark's indelible stain. No respectable company would hire her. She drifted among dingy diners for pitiful wages, renting a basement cubicle on the city's outermost ring. She refused to accept it. On television she watched Adrian and me accept the Economic Personalities of the Year award side by side, bathed in spotlights, and jealousy gnawed her heart to shreds. That stage should have been hers, she told herself. If not for me she would now be Mrs. CEO of Shen, coddled in silk and diamonds. She decided to strike back. She learned we would attend a public brand launch, plotted to barge in, scream every dirty secret, and ignite a PR war that would topple me from my pedestal. She was laughably naive. She never reached the security check. Dressed in cheap clothes, eyes wild, she was flagged as a risk the moment she stepped within 300 yards. Guards escorted her roughly beyond the outermost barrier. She could only watch from afar, Adrian placing a protective hand at the small of my back, me lifting a smile that came from the marrow of my bones. She remembered the night 2 years ago when she had triumphantly scratched my name off the engraved invitation, the night she had whimpered, "I just love him too much." Now the memory circled like a cruel joke. At last the truth crashed over her. Some people, some strata, lay forever beyond her reach, and beyond her power to wound. She tried to call Jason, the man she had gambled Everett Hing to steal. His number was dead. From a mutual acquaintance she heard he had declared personal bankruptcy, taken any job he could find, and finally, after a serious crash, broken a leg. No one knew where he slept now. She remembered my parting words, his love? Keep it, and enjoy. The love she had flaunted, lied for, landed in jail for, was not only worthless, it had devoured the last of her life. She sank onto the cold curb, stared at the brilliant lights in the distance, and finally broke into loud, racking sobs. For once there was no calculation, no performance, only bottomless despair. 12. Our future Adrian and I held our ceremony the following spring. Not in any five-star grand, but on the isle I owned. No packs of reporters, no oceans of business cards, only parents and the handful of friends who had never needed our names to love us. Sun, sand, surf, and the man who had never asked me to be anything but myself. When Richard placed my hand in Adrian's his eyes glistened, yet his smile was the proudest I had ever seen. Adrian, our girl is yours now. Adrian answered with solemn joy, Sir, I'll guard her with my life. As we exchanged platinum wedding bands, he bent to my ear and, for me alone, whispered, Thank you for dialing my number that night 2 years ago. I laughed softly. My pleasure. After all, my lifetime partner had to be first-rate. We smiled at each other, two people who had found their matching equal and their vast, unrolling future. Walking back down the petal-strewn aisle, I thought of the night of disgrace, Jason's arrogant, dismissive face. Without that public demolition, I might still be inside the meek disguise, married to a man who loved my surname, not my soul, slowly wilting in a cage of daily calculation. Crisis, danger and opportunity in one character. I am endlessly grateful I seized it, traded the wrong man for a new life and the right one. After sunset, Adrian and I walked barefoot along the powder-soft beach, our shadows fused into one long silhouette. He stopped, produced a small velvet box, snapped it open. Inside lay not a diamond but the simple platinum wedding bands we had chosen, inner rims etched with our names, and a square of familiar paper, crisply folded. I opened it, the original lifetime cooperation agreement. Across the bottom a new line had been added in his decisive hand. Addendum, Party A reserves the right to kiss Party B at any time, and Party B may not refuse. I burst out laughing. I rose on tiptoe and kissed him while the sun slipped into the sea and the trade wind lifted my veil. Hand in hand, we stepped toward the horizon. Our future, limitless. Thank you for listening to our story. If you enjoyed it, please like and share with friends. We look forward to reading your thoughts in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe for more unforgettable tales. See you next time.